Ian Bremmer is the founder and president of the Eurasia Group, a political risk consultancy. Good morning, Ian.
Hi, good to be with you.
Let's start the news from the president's comments this morning at the G20 summit. He warned about severe actions against North Korea, but then he quickly added, that doesn't mean we're going to do them. Doesn't that just encapsulate that there really are no good options when it comes to North Korea?
Well, I mean, it's why we've had a series of presidents that have basically kicked it to their children, right? We can put more pressure on China. And even though everyone's going to focus on the Trump-Putin meeting, the most important thing at the G20 is the fact the U.S.-China relationship is considerably more tense. This will be the first time that both presidents have met face-to-face since there have been a series of actions already taken by the United States against China, including a big new arms sale to Taiwan, and also, most recently, Trump saying repeatedly that China is not doing what they need to on North Korea.
What's the specific ask from China?
The specific ask is that if you don't cut off significantly the economic funding and support that the North Koreans have been receiving from China, that the U.S. is going to put sanctions against Chinese organizations doing that business, and eventually there's going to be linkage as well to broader tariffs against China. Two most important economies in the world thought that relationship was on a relatively calm footing. Now it looks like it really isn't. That's the biggest takeaway in the G20.
Yeah, certainly after the Mar-a-Lago meeting, where everything seemed to be, on good terms. What happened, Ian, and can you get that back on track?
Look, I mean, remember the first time that Trump met with Obama in the Oval Office, suddenly it was, oh, well, actually, face-to-face, everything's okay. He's calling me on the phone. He's spending time. But then he's tapping my phones, right? So I think that Trump was in deal-making mode, in let's see if we can get something done in relatively short order. He's pivoted away from that very dramatically, and I think this is not going to be an easy meeting at all between Trump and Xi Jinping. That's the body language you want to watch. Again, the Trump-Putin body language is going to be warm and festive, and we're all going to go crazy about it. But with Xi Jinping, that's the one that really has long-term implications.
That said, the Trump-Putin meeting is, I mean, this has gone from a casual pull-aside to now this formal bilateral discussion, essentially a summit between these two leaders. Who's going to be involved in that? Who should be involved in that?
Well, I mean, if that's the case, then Trump's having an awful lot of summits at this meeting. So I wouldn't go so crazy about it. But I do think, look, we want to have a lot of people in that meeting. It's important that it's not just a private bilat between Trump and Putin, because then who the hell knows what they're talking about? I think one of the reasons that my old friend Fiona Hill, the senior director for Russia Eurasia, is being pulled into that meeting is because
she is going to be there.
It looks that way. Certainly a lot of people are pushing for it. I think that McMaster would want her there. She's very credible. And the foreign policy establishment, the Richard Haas types, the rest, will say, you know what, if she's saying that this meeting was on the up and up, it's on the up and up. That would inoculate Trump from a lot of the criticism he'd otherwise get.
Well, in the post, he's a Putin critic.
No question. No question. Yeah.
In the Times this morning, they're saying that Trump aides are concerned about the meeting because they're worried about what President Trump will say or do.
Sure.
What's your definition of success for that meeting for President Trump?
Well, for Trump and Trump's base, it's to ignore the media, ignore the investigations,
ignore the Russian election, meddling?
Absolutely, because Obama, I think Trump was completely right in saying in Poland today that Obama was president when the hacks occurred. He could have taken action. He didn't. And that Trump said, hey, if Trump had looked like he was going to win, Obama probably would have done more. I think that's actually an accurate analysis.
But if he had taken action at the time, don't you think President Trump would have said, see, they're meddling with the election?
Of course. But Trump wasn't president. Obama is. In other words, I kind of expect more from the president. Trump's getting a lot of criticism now. Obama didn't get as much then, and we're kind of forgetting all of that. So I do think that it would be shocking to me if Trump were actually to bring up the hacks during this meeting.
So you don't think it's wise for him to bring it up?
Not politically, because, of course, as a political animal, anything that potentially delegitimizes his win, like the admission of the Russian hacks, hurts him. Now, if he was going to put the country before himself politically, then you'd want him to do that. But how many people think that our presidents put themselves before the country?
You say this G20 summit is different than any other you've ever seen.
It is.
Why?
It is. Because, first of all, it's really not a G20, it's a G0. It's an absence of leadership. And second, and the first time that's really happened. But secondly, everyone's going to be talking about the elephant in the room. The vast majority of these presidents do not like or trust the American president. America First will tell you that. And when he's not directly in front of them, you know what they're going to be talking about the entire time is that. So clearly, there's going to be an enormous amount of news that comes from that, all the side conversations, the leaks, and how all of these countries are going to deal with their increasing questions about the level of commitment they should have to the only superpower in the world.
All right. Well, tomorrow we'll know. We can always say President Trump is not predictable.
We can say that.
He's not predictable. Thank you very much. Sure.